Welcome at KSTV. Today we talk with Henk de Vries, co-owner of Feadship, which is one of the major shipbuilders in the world.
We are sitting in the office of De Vries shipyard. De Vries is one of the two founding fathers of Feadship. Feadship is worldwide recognized as the market leader for large custom-built yachts. To give you an idea, nowadays the smallest boats that we build are 40 meters long and the biggest ones we build are close to 100 meters. Contract prices start with our entry-level model at 25 million, up to close to 200 million for the serious ones.
It's like a bottle of wine in the restaurant. No one buys an entry-level ship.
Yeah, no. People do buy our entry-level boats because they are exit level for many of our competition. So we are at the pinnacle, you could say. In Holland we are always a little bit modest talking about these things, but it is exciting to be part of a company that is perceived as the world leader in our industry.
Yeah.
I'm 51 years old. Many years ago I studied at VU. I studied business economics.
Okay.
And I did that as a second study because first I went to technical university. So there was always a little bit of technical interest in my life.
Yeah.
But I was not fascinated by the cold and hardcore approach that the technical university in Holland gives as an education. And what I found in the VU University is that it allows you to also think about the human aspects of life, and integrating that with business is what motivated me to do that study. I had the fortune during my study to work with people who are very recognized in Dutch business as educators. And since I graduated in 1986, I've always been active in giving lectures and giving the story of my life to students because I'm proud of what we achieve here.
You should be, yeah.
And I find it nice to share that experience. And also, I have the belief that there are many things in business literature that are maybe theoretically correct, but when you work with real people in a real business environment, there's so much more to explore, and there are sometimes very hands-on practical things that you learn that can be applied.
Real management or real business,
real management
you can't learn from books.
No, you can't learn from books what real management is all about.
Is it correct that both your grandfather and father were in this company?
My grandfather was the founder of the company in this location, but my great-grandfather in 1906 was the first De Vries that started building boats in this small town. Yeah. And my great-grandfather was a very religious man. He would not work on the Sundays. He was one of the builders of the church in the village. And my grandfather, while religious, was a much more practical man. So when he started to build pleasure boats, which was done on the Sundays, he had a little bit more liberal view on what that should mean for business. And if a boat broke down on the Sunday, then he would say, well, we can fix it, and then we will charge maybe a little bit more, but what we charge more, we give to the church. So then God is also fine with it.
Everyone's happy then.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
The mentality of the combination between doing pleasure boats, we are in the pleasure industry after all, and a practical and honest approach, you can call it very Dutch, and I'm rather proud of that, the very straightforward way we do business, plus the ethical side. The Christian background, if you want, is still one of the driving forces of the company today. It was started by my grandfather and grand-uncle in 1923, and from that date this company has always built pleasure boats for people to have fun with. It was expanded by the generation of my father and his brother and three cousins in the 60s and the 70s. They built the company up to approximately 100 employees. And eventually when I took over in 1996, as fourth generation family member, the company was about 200 people.
When you were, let's say, in small school, high school, were you already destined to be in this company?
No, my father was very...
Did you want to go your own path?
No, my father was very good at that. He never forced me in a certain direction, and I was very free to do what I wanted. However, when I was in my late 20s and still sort of rummaging around, I was a business consultant. I worked in the hi-fi industry in Holland. He said, are you coming to the company or not? And I said, well, maybe I can join for a year or so. and then see what it is. And what was extremely surprising for me is I had a job interview with my 4 uncles.
Yeah.
And they said, well, why do you need a job interview? We know your family and you can go in. I said, no. I went to university, I studied.
It was your decision to have a job
I take
interview?
it serious. So I had an interview with all 4 of them.
Yeah.
And much to my surprise, they were serious entrepreneurs. And I did not have that impression at all. My father was very modest about the business. And I thought everybody goes on a Saturday to a launch and drinks champagne twice a year. And I found out that we were a very special company indeed.
Yeah. Because you have special business, because you have special clients.
Yeah, exactly.
But you don't see that when you're real young and you may see all these people.
Yeah, right. I have an 11-year-old son. He already, since he was 6 years old, decides he wants to be in the boat building business.
Okay,
so
but that changes when he is 16.
I hope so.
And changes back when he is 26 probably.
Yeah, right. I hope so indeed.
Yeah. But how did you feel about this business when you were in school? Did you already know this is going to be my game or not?
No. And I even made bets with my friends when I was in my 20s that I was never going to join the family business.
Okay.
I thought it was too much close shop and all this family together. I did not feel like that at all.
Then you went into hi-fi business, you said?
Also, yeah.
Yeah. And how did you decide, okay, I'll join the firm?
When I found out, as I was already working there, when I found out how much fun it was. And the fact that you make incredible things and that people sort of bow over and say, oh, you're from the Vries shipyard. Gee. I found out that the company was indeed quite impressive. Yeah. And the product also.
Yeah. I did some small research, but I have the feeling that failure is not an option when you build ships like this. It has to be perfect. Or not?
Well, failure is not an option, but there are many failures in this business. You would expect that building these things in very elaborate environments, technically oriented, to build them in, that it would have huge entry barriers. What we see in our business is that in and out come competitors, people that try and people that fail. We build custom boats, that means each one is unique. And the interesting thing about the unique boats is that every time you build a prototype, we build one of each only. And every time it has to be perfect and it has to perform. So in that sense, failure indeed is not an option.
Yeah. And the main risk is in calculation upfront, I presume.
The main risk is in making money, as in any business.
Yeah, but calculation upfront, how much will it cost?
Well, and we contract fixed price. There are some companies in our industry who will contract with open book, but we find that less exciting. First of all, it gives much more of an incentive to the guys in the yard to work to budgets and to time schedules. Secondly,
all these people are aware of the budget?
No, they're just building boats. The management is aware of the budget. But secondly, you can make, if you do it right and you organize yourself efficiently, you can make a nice profit. And that is the secret to this business. You have to continuously return a profit in order to proceed and make investments and stay on top of it.
But you have something like 300 people on the payroll?
800.
800?
Yeah, it's a big company.
Ooh.
Yeah, we have the shipyard here in Aalsmeer, where we are today. In that shipyard we have 350 employees on the payroll, plus another 100 or so subcontractors. So I have about 450 people in this yard. Then we have another yard in the northern part of Holland, where we have 180 people, plus another 100 from subcontractors working there. We own the company that makes our hulls with 150 people. We own the company that makes aluminium structures and all sorts of James Bondy type of gadgets that flip open and fall out and do all sorts of funky things.
You have to be and keep being innovative in this business.
Innovation is the secret to success. And because you have to realize the way we build the product is industrial, but the way it is marketed, I market not to a business-to-business person, I market to a private individual who is looking at his toy. And it's pleasure business, and that you have to realize that all the time. I built the most unnecessary product that you could want. And I make it so nice that you still want it.
So your game is to convince someone else that he buys something against a lot of money, which he doesn't need?
No, in that sense I'm not your typical salesman. I'm not convincing people to buy something that I make for them. I let them convince themselves.
You help them decide. What's your role? Is it pure sales, or
No,
is
no,
it management, managerial here too?
I'm one of the 5 owners of the company,
Mm-hmm.
and as you can call me the CEO. So that means I do everything that is not directly related to the construction itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm responsible for the general affairs, for finance, and also for sales.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you describe your own managerial style?
The way you see me here, it's rather loose. I need excellent people in order to perform.
Yeah.
If I have to give them directions all the time, I become extremely impatient.
Mm-hmm.
People have to be very talented, have to know what they're doing, and then we all have fun, and then we build a nice product.
So how do you select people then?
They have to have a mind of their own.
Basically on passion, on
Passion
energy.
is passion, pleasure in what you do, the fun of building boats, and you have to have understanding for the technical constraints that you face in the day-to-day operations.
Could you describe one of the things you're really proud of? Successes maybe, but maybe everything that you're proud of, but what makes it special?
What makes it special is when people sit on the boat that we build, we do not so much build a product. Mm-hmm. We build an experience. And I know that sounds very hollow and marketing-like, but that's not the case. Mm-hmm. When you sit on your boat in a wonderful environment with people that you know as an owner, and you enjoy it, and you invite the guy who built the boat for you on board, and you say, Henk, this is incredible, man, I have so much fun, I haven't shaved in 3 days, and my wife still likes me. That is what it's all about. That is what it's all about. The people that we built these boats for are the most powerful people on the planet. We've targeted our client base to be about only 5,000 people in the world, so I meet fascinating people. That's the second interesting thing in my job is I meet fantastic people. And they always have a fascinating story.
They have the same feeling because they meet you and he makes fascinating boats.
Yeah, indeed. I'm cool, you're cool. And that's what you try to do. And then it is not so much a sale anymore. Then it is, let's embark on this road for a couple of years and build something incredible.
How does the process go? Because I can imagine it takes a couple of weeks, months before you even have an idea on what kind of ship you want, or...
No, the typical process is because we are on top of the heap. My client has experience. They have chartered. They know a little bit already what it is. It is like your first car is never a Rolls Royce. You sort of grow into that. And the people that we build the boats for have a passion to realize something that is not already there, because there is a big second-hand market, and there's a certain clientele that is impatient and picks up a boat because it is there. You have to be a little bit crazy to sit down, work on pieces of paper for maybe a year, and then wait for another 3 years for the damn thing to be finished. The throughput time of the boat, it can be 2.5, 3, 4 years.
But they have that drive and passion. They know how the game.
But by the same token, they are by nature impatient. They want it now.
Yeah.
They want the satisfaction and the gratification immediately.
So that's how do you cope with that?
It's a fact of life. I walked into the shipyard and I showed them, this is steel. It took us a year to get to this stage, and this is with a little bit of wood in it. It took us another year, and then we have to polish it and finish it up and make it nice. It takes another year. They say, it's an industrial process. You must be able to speed it up. You're a good businessman. Can you not do that?
We make it special for you, you know.
And we say, sorry sir, it's not a factory. We custom build and craft exactly the thing that you want. So, and that takes time. And what you also try to explain to them is that what you do is the process of getting there should also be fun. If the client is not interested in the process, then he's probably not my client. So if the client says, that's cool, let's go and make this thing, and I come to the yard every 2 weeks, and they make us a little bit crazy if they do that, but sometimes they do. There's now, at this moment, a client in our shipyard who's handing out t-shirts himself to all the workers in the yard because we've reached the highest point of his boat. So we have pan and beer.
That's a special moment. I like pan and beer.
Yeah.
Can we film that?
No.
Okay.
No. My clients are very private people. It's going on as we speak.
Okay. Let me know if you have to go, because...
No. They're okay. They're okay. I checked. I'll be with him later in the afternoon.
So, tell us about one of the most special moments in your life, in your business life.
One of the most special moments in my business life was when purchased a new shipyard in 2005. That was a shipyard from a competitor that was not doing so well. And we took it over and we were convinced that we could do it better, and we took over not only the building, but we also took over a lot of the workers.
Yep.
One of the very special moments was when we stripped the whole building apart. We spent 6 million euros on it, just making it nice again in 7 weeks of our own money, because we never like to go to banks. And I put all the De Vrieses on the stage. There were 11 of us, and we had some photographs taken by the local newspaper. That was, you can say, a moment of glory. That was fantastic. Okay. Especially with, and it was in Friesland, so they played the Frisian national anthem, and the guys from the shipyard were singing along. It was a great moment.
Then you know it's good.
And the second great moment, because we bought the shipyard, and I had already signed a contract for a boat there. I didn't tell the seller that we were already in contract with somebody, so I already had committed to a project to be built there. That project was completed last year, and we had huge fireworks inside and all sorts of things in the festive activities. And when I looked at the results at the end of the day, first boat out of our new yard, we even made a little bit of money. That was very exciting also.
Yeah. But you're not doing this for the money.
Well,
it's a necessity, I know.
Yeah, but you have to make money in order to have the fun.
Yeah.
I'm in it for the excitement, for creation of things that do not exist yet, because we've built some very unusual and very specific things. Not all pretty, but all interesting and exciting. And I'm certainly not interested in mass producing one after the other the same thing. No, it's the exciting of doing.
Well, if it takes 4 years to build a ship, or from idea to launch, it's not mass production.
No, it's not mass production. No. The Feadship brand produces 6 a year, about. The whole market is typically 40 boats a year or so. Ours are the biggest and most expensive, and it gives us every year for the past 30 years a number 1 or number 2 position in the marketplace.
So, what do you do to stay ahead of the competition?
We make it difficult. We make it difficult, and we rely on the quality of the people. You asked me earlier in this interview what I would describe as my management style. I said it is relatively loose because you need super people who know exactly what they're doing. If we realize a workforce that is incredibly talented and trained and knows what to do, I can afford to have a very light management. And I get extremely motivated people because they can do exactly what they're good at, and they don't have a boss constantly telling them what to do.
They are self-starters.
So it is experience on the shop floor. And the experience is an extremely difficult barrier to overcome for a newcomer in our business. My average worker, the average age in our company is 39. That is young for an industrial company. My average worker starts with me at around 20. So my average worker working in one of the shipyards doing 2 boats a year has an experience of at least 40 boats. There's no other company in our business that comes even close to that. No. And that gives us an incredible competitive edge.
Looking back at the last 16, 17, 18 years you've been here now?
The last 23 years.
23 years. You were better in calculation than I am. What are your setbacks, lessons learned?
Lessons learned, setbacks. It's difficult to think of setbacks because when I look at how I've developed in my professional life, it is growth. So that means you come out of university. Lessons learned, that's something I can do something with. So let me try that angle.
Okay.
And when I came out of university, you have learned how to work with your brain, that is, if you come out of university. And it took me, let's say, 4 or 5 years to sort of internalize that and make it work in my daily life. Then the next step you take in your professional life is that you actually start managing people. So you can go to courses for that, you can learn how to work with people. But what I find the most interesting part in my life, the past 10 years or so, is that if you really want to become a good leader, you have to work with yourself. And you have to discover yourself, and you have to be very honest about yourself. So whenever I train people in my company, because we now have about, in the whole workforce of 800, I would say we have about 100 highly educated people, technical but also
Yeah.
in other fields.
Yeah.
And in order for those professionals to become good, we like to hire young people so we can instill our company values and our attitudes to business and management in them. The first couple of years they work for the company, they learn their trade better. Then if they're good enough to manage, then we put them through management programs. And if they are true leaders of the future, and I have singled out a few now that are in that role, also family members,
Good.
then we work on a personality thing. And I have a lot of fun with that. Because I have two young cousins, relatively young, because they're 35, so for the students...
Watch out, they're watching this video.
Yeah, the students that are listening to this video are younger.
Yeah.
But they're 35 and I think, yeah, well, I know everything. And objectively speaking, from what they learned and how they manage mostly, they are mature. But you can only become really an inspirational person if you dare to work on yourself.
Yeah. In Dutch we call it ontwikkelen.
Ontwikkeld.
Ontwikkelen.
Ontwikkelen, yeah. Or developing.
I don't know how that
whatever.
is in English.
Whatever.
but
And I run the company together with my cousin. He's same age as I am. The other boys are 15 years behind us. So in family speak, half a generation behind us.
Yeah.
And my cousin and I have a lot of fun sort of drilling those guys and doing, making them sometimes feel a little bit unhappy.
Yeah.
But all the time working on improving the collaboration in the family, the cooperation in the family group, and cultivating the family atmosphere. That's a big thing for us. Yeah.
So what went wrong in the last 10 years?
What went wrong in the last 10 years is that we did not make enough money.
Okay.
In other words, the fun and a challenge of building extraordinary boats sometimes overshadowed the hard fact that you also have to make cash. We did not lose any money. The company is very, very solidly financed. As I said, there are no banks in the business. It's all equity. Everything you see around you here, there's many, many millions of equities, is all family owned. But the profitability could be better. So we are now working in the crisis at a program to...
How does that affect your business?
Yeah, it affects us. Fortunately, we have an enormously long order book.
Yeah. Still.
Still. In total, we have 10 boats under contract. And I told you this facility builds 2 or 3 a year, the other 1 a year. So I have a backlog of another 4 years.
Okay.
So that means if I sell nothing for the coming 12 months, we're still okay. And we are the only company in the world who can say that in this market. Yeah. But the market is at the moment difficult. It is a challenge to make it work. Yeah.
But on the other hand, it might, if you have a backlog of let's say 6 years or 8 years, that's not good either.
No, but that doesn't work. That doesn't work. I mean, I can explain to people that they have to be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
But if it
couple
becomes
of years is
3 years is almost the maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at students nowadays,
yes.
What advice would you give and what tip, what lessons learned?
Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah, and enjoy your time at university. It is a very worry-free time. And you think you're under pressure with exams and stuff like that. It's nothing. It's nothing compared to the real world. So enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
And live irresponsibly and do stupid things. Because this is the time you'll have to do those. And especially because you're sort of grown up, it's wonderful to do silly and crazy things. Yeah.
Do you look back at your university time in such a way?
I did some very, very irresponsible and stupid things. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Mostly involving booze, the other sex, and rock music. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a bit of that. But what I also did in university is I worked, and it is very good to have some work experience that has nothing to do with your education, because that gives you a broader outlook on life. Yeah. And I recommend that. And I know the programs are strenuous, and you have to cram a lot of learning into your hours. But still, there should be time to have a job. It can even be a silly one, but just so you're in the real world. Because universities are very protected environments, and that in itself is good to cultivate science and work on education. But by the same token,
what does science mean for your business? Do you use science
all the time? Yeah. We build.
You go back to universities, technical universities.
We are in constant contact with universities and technical institutes, and we have quite a few things instilled in our boats that break the mold of current technology. We just presented a concept boat comparable to what you see with concept cars. And we expect that we will be able to build that boat not before 2015. I mean, that's how avant-garde the things are that we incorporate in that. We are very active in that. Yeah. It's part of the fun factor. It's not making any money, but it is certainly fun.
What do you want to achieve for yourself? Not business-wise, but for yourself in, let's say, the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I'll make that 10. I'm 51 now, so in Holland I can look towards retirement when I'm pushing 60. What I want to achieve first is I want to set up the organization of the family business in such a way that both family and business can continue for more generations to come. That's number one. So that is business, but also myself, I'm in there. Yeah. My soul is in there. And what I want to achieve for myself, I have learned a lot of things in life. And I immensely enjoy sharing those things with other people. I still off and on think about doing maybe a thesis, so becoming a PhD in some funky field of philosophy / business economics. I'm convinced that I should be able to come up with something, but I'm afraid I won't have the time for that.
Well, what keeps you from doing that?
Time.
You only have to decide that you want it.
Yeah. No time. Okay. Time. This takes up a lot of time, and I do take my family life and my private life serious as well. So I work hard. But what I also learned is that if you only work hard, then you just kill yourself quicker. So you also have to play. It is important. When I work in the office, I work maybe 50 hours a week. And for a CEO of this size company, that is not exaggerated. If I travel, then I work a little bit more. And I travel about 100 days out of the year. But when I'm here, I try to be home in time, I try to enjoy weekends, and I take my holidays very serious. And I think that's important, to have a balance in your life.
So looking back at when you were a small kid, you only saw the play part. Now you know it's a work part too.
Yeah, and also what I saw is my father. My father died young, he became only 71 years old. And my uncle, another one of our predecessors, became only 68. And my cousin and I have promised ourselves and each other that we would get older, and the only way to get older is like Grandpa. Grandpa was 97, but he had a wonderful thing. We would say, "Opa, when you go to bed at night, don't you worry about things?" He says, "Yeah, I have many worries in my head, and then I go in my bed, I take the worries out of my head, I put them next to my teeth, and then the next morning I wake up, and the only thing I know for certain, the worries are still there, but I sleep like a baby." And fortunately, my cousin and I took after him, so we are like that. Good. I maybe cannot sleep one or two nights a year, and I think that's immensely important.
That's more over excitement because you have a new idea. Probably.
No, sometimes about concerns. Sometimes about concerns. Yeah.
I like the words and the teeth. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay.